So I did an arc tier list video where I ranked Wano mid, and some people were actually wondering why. Link in the description for after this video, by the way. I am not a big fan of Wano. This arc is a mess. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually loved the hype moments just like everybody else. However, this arc was also very problematic, and a lot of people don't want to admit it. Specifically, the pacing issues, dropped plot lines, unnecessary contrivances, side characters that nobody cares about. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gear 5 and the final few chapters of Wano were pretty good, but it still does not make up for all the random crap that we had to sit through. Like I mentioned already, this arc suffers from severe pacing issues. The whole raid was extremely slow. Wano alone was 149 chapters, and 72 of those chapters were for the raid alone. We only get 7 chapters of Gear 5, even less if you count the filler in those chapters. Luffy finishes Kaido with a giant punch, something Oda mentioned he didn't want to do. Then all of a sudden it's 1 week later. Why did we need 14 chapters to deal with the Ice Oni virus that we all knew was not gonna kill anybody, since Oda can't bring himself to kill any characters? Why did we need another 14 chapters to deal with Kanjuro's flaming ghost that didn't end up killing anybody of note except for Orochi at the end after his 8th death? That's 28 out of 72 chapters in the raid. That's 39% on flaming ghosts and Ice Oni virus. Did we need to see Luffy run up the stairs to get to the rooftop? He literally could fly up there with Gear 4. Listen, real quick from me, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you press that like button, make sure that you're subscribed, because these things really help me as a small YouTuber. Now, another thing that I didn't like about Wano was that there was a lot of off-screening and glossing over key points. Kaido's flashback wasn't even a flashback, it was more like a slideshow of random moments throughout his life without much context. We don't know shit about this guy. Kinemon's reunion with his wife, his driving motivation by the way, was off-screen. Hiyori and Momonosuke, siblings that were separated for 20 years, their reunion was one tiny panel with no dialogue. Tsukiyaki's decision to meet his grandkids was off-screen, which is funny because the chapter right before that, Tsukiyaki had said, "Don't tell Momo that I'm alive." Remember the old lady in Orochi's flashback? Why was she also in Kaido's backstory, and why was she pushing Kaido to go conquer Wano? This just shows that Wano did not need to be as long as it was, or at least that the 149 chapters of Wano were not used efficiently. A lot of points that should have been focused on were instead skipped over for more random unnecessary things, like the random beast pirates like the one with the chicken butt, or stalling Luffy in the prison of Udon. Should I even bring up Amnesia Big Mom? Let's skip over a little bit, this one's gonna get controversial. Yamato. Yamato is a bad character, I'm sorry. Yamato is introduced with a lot of promise and room for a lot of growth. A lot of focus was put on Yamato, but instead the character kept going in circles with no proper development. Yamato has no character agency, instead being motivated by the actions of another individual and wanting to copy his exact life, even taking on his name. What is appealing about that? And that is despite Yamato being armed with a strong flashback. A pair of side boobs is not enough for me to get invested personally. I mean, don't get me wrong, a pair of side boobs is pretty nice and everything, but I'll pass. I was hoping that Yamato would grow out of that whole Oden thing. Yamato is now living like Oden by traveling around Wano before going out to sea, because that's what Oden did. Again, the character has no individuality, identity, and that's kind of problematic. Not the most compelling character you'd want to follow, at least in my personal opinion. Somebody who basically mirrors their whole identity after somebody else. I am very well aware that Yamato stayed behind to help Momo, but it was really to help Momo as Oden, like nothing changed. Because of all of this, I was eventually turned off by the idea of Yamato joining as a Straw Hat, and thank goodness that it didn't happen. Now moving on over, fake out deaths. Now I'm gonna list you all of the fake out deaths that I am aware of at least. Kinemon, Kiku, Zoro, Luffy. Kanjuro had to die twice. Orochi had to die 8 times. Hawkins is probably not dead. Big Mom is probably not dead. Kaido is probably not dead. Hyogoro had a fake out death. Even the other idiots in Hyogoro's circle during the Ice Oni virus, if I remember correctly. CP0 guy was thought to be dead too. Meanwhile, Ashura, Doji, and Izo's deaths were glossed over and simply off-screen in the manga. Can you believe that? They have whole entire death scenes written for Kinemon, Kiku, and Hyogoro. Like, why? That's just a waste of time. It's a bunch of filler since they're not dead at the end. There's even a bunch of other miscellaneous issues that I have with Wano. Most of the Straw Hats, especially Usopp, got sidelined in favor of the Scabbards. Zoro got almost no development from the land of swords that he literally comes from. Not to mention that Mihawk, the greatest swordsman of the world, was not mentioned once during the Land of Wano arc. The Omiwa Banshu, like who are those idiots and why did we need them? The Kurozumi are born to burn, like what a terrible way to end the conflict of this arc, further propagating the hatred onto the next generation. Big Mom, as usual, conveniently keeps on helping the Straw Hats. Green Bull has been this silhouetted mysterious admiral that we don't know anything about, and yet he just gets thrown under the bus for more Shanks hype that we didn't need. Like, was that really necessary? We still to this day have not addressed what that Zoro and the Grim Reaper thing was. Like, what was that about, and why has it not been mentioned since? Zoro going to visit Ryuma's grave would have been nice, but instead we had to spend it on Ice Oni and Flaming Ghost. Zoro mentioned wanting to avenge Yasui, but I guess we just didn't have enough time for that. Toki's Toki no Mi is this crazy powerful devil fruit that just gets shafted and we don't know anything about it after that. Pluton and the underwater Wano. We find out that that's the thing in the last 2 chapters, but we don't get to know more about it. Maybe it's part of the whole Void Century thing that we're not supposed to learn about yet, but Oda, come on. All this build up for Carrot to take down Perospero, but nothing came out of it other than Perospero beating her down, telling her to go back to the forest and eat some grass. All these chapters were spent on building up Yamato, who didn't ultimately end up developing or joining the crew. What a waste of time. Most of Kaido's crew, a pirate empire by the way, was comic relief, and it felt like there was a lack of tension as the Straw Hats were fighting a pirate empire, and yet all they kept saying to each other was that yeah, we're gonna win, when in other arcs they had their backs pushed to the wall. What was even the point of CP0? Like, what did they do? They said they were gonna chase after Robin, but was that really necessary? Yeah, they killed Izo, but Izo could have simply died to the fire or a beast pirate. The one thing that was worth anything is that one CP0 guy that jumped in the fight between Kaido and Luffy. Was the Smile Fruit crisis even resolved? Whatever happened to that thing that took away Zoro's Shusui in the Land of Snow? Udon was ultimately a training arc that could have been glossed over, for the key points being Kawamatsu, Kid, Killer, Hyogoro, and all the other stuff with Queen, Big Mom, the Red Bean Soup was just not important. Whatever happened to Kaido and Yamato's race, the Oni? What happened to Kaido's Devil Fruit? Why has he never awakened it? He has the nerve to tell Luffy what an awakening is, and the King of the Beasts himself does not seem to have one. And no, don't tell me that the Flaming Dragon is his awakening, because that was never stated. How are you gonna tell me that Lucci and Kaku have awakened Zoan Devil Fruits, but not Kaido? Look, I could go on and on and on, but at this point it's just rambling. It's okay to admit it. Wano was a disappointment. It did not live up to expectations. Maybe there was too much pressure on Oda. Maybe he was under time constraints. Ultimately, the important thing to take away from this is that Wano is mid, in my opinion, of course. If you enjoyed Wano for what it is, that's great. All the power to you, that is wonderful. But me personally, I did not. I will respect your opinion, so kindly respect mine. Look, either way, the important thing here is that we all enjoy One Piece, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure you press that like button, make sure that you're subscribed, because these things really help me as a small YouTuber. And go check out that arc tier list that I made, linked in the description below. Other than that, the common question of the day is, how do you feel about the Land of Wano arc? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and have a good one.